All right, welcome everyone to the movement. My name is Zoe Levine. If you haven't gotten to jump in with us so far, if you have, we always review a little bit, and we'll do that today as usual as we move forward as well. Today we'll get to play along with, we've been doing a lot for our wrists and arms, fingers, which help elbows, shoulders. We've been talking about the relationship all the way up into the neck, which I know a lot of you out there have some neck and shoulder tension. That's pretty common across the board, not just with you all, but generally speaking around in our culture and with a lot of how we work these days. So we'll play with a lot of that as a review still for hands and fingers that will help our neck and shoulders. And then we'll also add in a little bit more work for your neck. But let's start with an assessment, kind of assessment or play or sensation from around your neck. So it just wants you to, just like we do with our twist, we play a lot with twists without thinking about the rest of your spine. Just get an idea, maybe even take your hands to your chest or sternum and see how far you can look to one direction and kind of get an idea of, you'd even put your finger on your chin, on the center of your chin, and get an idea of how close that is to where your shoulder is hanging out at, right? So we tend to get a little stiff and stuck, right? When little kids have plenty of space to turn, and then kind of as we grow up, we lose that ability. We talk about that a lot, right? So try both sides, just take a little and make sure, I was going to say, take a little moment to see how far you go, but also make sure that your chin's not popping up somewhat. Sometimes a cheat for going further is to kind of tip the chin back. It's like we're trying to drag it back in other ways, right? So keeping the chin at level where it is. See how far you turn and just do it a couple of times, see what that feels like. How easy is it to get close to that 180-degree turn. See how close we get. Sometimes we're a little far off. Sometimes we're pretty close. You can check that out. Another thing you can check on is just this kind of side tilt, right? How, with your shoulders hanging down and the rest of your spine comfortably tall, maybe stacked on your sits bones, how does it feel to let your head fall over to one side? And where do you feel the tension? How tight is it? Do you feel you have a range here? Does it feel sticky or stuck somewhere? You can do the same thing to the other side. And again, just kind of noticing, do I get pretty far here? Does it feel bad? And another thing you can check on, and this will become our part of our work or exercise for the day, is this thing called the neck hang. But it can be, we can treat it as an assessment and as the treatment or exercise. So let your chin fall to your chest. And so when we first start doing this, usually the movement is coming from down low, right? So you feel most of the movement of that bend coming from way down low. So you can notice how far your chin is away from your sternum when you do that. So that's one way, is just kind of feeling the whole curve of the neck, and you might get close. You might be way far away from your chin to your sternum, and then come back up. And instead of just letting the whole thing hang from down low, you're going to think of this hinge from way up high. You can take your hands from right under the base of your skull and just do a little nodding from way up high under here, right? Do you feel how the top of the cervical spine actually goes pretty far up there? You can kind of feel that. That's really high, right? Kind of right behind you. Could move from there. So keeping that in mind, could we let the hang feel like it's coming from higher? If you could imagine that, like a hook to the base of your skull, and imagining we're kind of pulling that up toward the ceiling a little bit, like backwards and up toward the ceiling. So when your head hangs this time, there's a little bit more of a kind of being picked up from behind. So there's just, it's more space. It's less collapsed from the lower part of the neck and more collapsed from up high. And kind of just get an idea of how your head hangs there. Right? It's gonna feel like you don't get as far. Are you finding that? Hi, Janet. We're just playing with a little assessment, right? We're gonna come back to those things. We'll play with your arms and fingers in a fun way. Remember last week I threatened bringing music here, so we could do the same thing. Don't let me scare you. We don't have to dance, something that you're comfortable with, but we can add some music to it. The same exercise we've done before. So start with this, knowing full well that it has so much to do with the neck, and then we'll continue on giving you more some specific exercises to play with, bringing the neck into that fascial piece. So I've already started to share music. Let's see. Yeah. I'm not sure why I'm breaking up. I don't have anything else going. See if music comes through okay or not. So let me know. I'm going to start playing here. This is non-copyrighted music. Just a little background. All right, are you hearing a little bit of that? Can you also hear my voice okay?
I don't really hear the music and it's breaking up. You hear it, Diane?
I can hear it.
Yes, I hear the music. Yeah.
Maybe there's something going on with my computer. Carry on.
Am I breaking up for Diane and Anna? Am I breaking up for you too? Okay. All right, so maybe something is going on in the office. All right, so you have some music here. Just start with the regular note or just music world. Okay, so it's boring when you have music. It's a little bit boring to do the played. Okay, feels great. I think it feels great. So what if you start adding in? Remember last week we started adding in the play of getting to kind of paint your hands, fingers, fly, flowing, big, and use that on top of the wide, big arms, and just let it kind of play. You're still sitting in your chair. Take a little movement. Start bringing your elbows, like moving your arms everywhere. It's still the same idea, kind of create more space in that fascia, right? So looking for the move, and let your arms as big as possible in all directions. And add movement in your hands. You're playing with all the things you already know about, what feels good. No right or wrong, right? We talk about that all the time. There's no right or wrong with how it's and letting your shoulders get a little tired. Right, this is a 3-minute song. We're almost to the end. Your arms might get a little tired. Big movements for 3 minutes. And again, I realize like non-copyrighted music is not beautiful and inspiring thing ever, but it's something to write on, right? Imagine what it would feel like if you had some of your own music that you really do love to kind of throw on top of that as an extra layer, right? It kind of carries you a little bit. And the song has ended. But you can keep, if there's anything else that you need a little wiggling in, feel free to take it. All right, so music can add just another lovely layer, especially if you're getting a case of the I don't wannas or the I'm too tired, I don't wanna. Music will let you ride on it a little bit, right? It's a little bolster to get you to do something that otherwise it's not always that initial spark to do it, right? Is the hardest part. So if music works well for you and you can turn on a song that you love, you're going to be more likely to ride that song And you can do any of our movements and any of your own too, right? You have a lot to play with from what we've done together, as well as a lot of just having fun, and moving your body is a great thing too. All right, so you've moved your shoulders. There's a warm up there. There's space in your ribs that's different. You can kind of feel that if you let your arms hang out by your sides. You might notice and feel a little bit of a difference in just how your breath is moving through your ribs, or how your shoulders are hanging out over your rib cage with ease. Let's review some of our finger stretches before we get to the neck. Last week, we talked about how that fascial sleeve of connection, it's all there through fingers, up through the arm, through neck and shoulders. So we'll spend some time getting this end of that whole line, and then we'll spend some time getting into this end, and that gives both, and if you're getting space from both ends, you're going to have a lot more room. So let's try that all on one. We'll try and experiment all on one side maybe first. So pick one hand. I don't care which one you start with. And we've been playing this game of the bent elbow and then the peeling back of the fingers. So it's a wrist, palm, finger stretch. We're kind of getting all of them. And we've talked about how it really doesn't matter. You could do one finger at a time. You could do 2 fingers or 3 fingers at a time, and kind of play around with which fingers you're getting to. The only thing I'd watch out for is that you're not pulling bent fingers down, because that cuts off the line of the pull, right? That shortens, instead of, we're looking to lengthen that whole line, which is almost kind of bending the fingers backwards. And just see if you feel the difference, right? There's just that, or the fingers opening up. There's a difference. So looking to find that space, we spend a lot of time in this position, hoping to open up some space. We're just going to stay on this side for some of the neck movements and the finger stretches. We've also talked about, you can set up your hand like a joystick and hold. Remember, the thumb goes down really low. It's not just this piece up top. So if you get really low on that whole thumb pad, you can start to pull that joystick back, and there's a nice stretch there. Remember, we talked about that as we age, we lose that space between. This is what arthritis tends to look like, right? We get stuck here. So we're saying, hey, actually we need that space. We're not done using it. Thank you. And all the things that we continue to ask for, our bodies can say, oh, okay, like, I didn't realize you needed that. We will continue to make sure you have that space. And then the opposite of that is the move it or lose it, right? If your body is like, you haven't used that in a while, you clearly don't need it, we'll just take that away. It's not efficient for us to keep something that you don't use, right? So that was one of the big finger stretches. We talked about doing this while you're having kind of a thinking moment at your desk, in the car, at stoplights, that kind of thing. Another fun piece to add with your hand is, we know that it's part of that kind of stop, snow globe position, right? That reach out. You can add, with your arm in any position, you can add a little neck, like a little fall of the head or neck, and a reach of that. So I'm still, whatever hand you were doing the stretches, let's use that same side to reach, and then the head falls in the opposite direction. I'm going to scoot back so you can see what else I'm going to do with this arm. And many different places this might feel really nice. And I'm starting with my palms turned up, but many different positions. If you let your head fall to the side and let your arm reach, notice if you turn in and out, that's going to change the way your neck feels at stretch. If you move your wrist around in any of those positions, that's going to change. Do you feel that fascial pull through the whole arm? So here's where play comes in again, right? A little bit more kind of in one place for one purpose, right? Rather than being all over. So that whole line getting some space, opening and closing, big flex of the wrist. And then you can continue with it. It's almost like you're looking down into that opposite side pocket. So if your head's already falling to that side, it's like your eyes just turn down to look like you're looking in your pocket. That might be another way to find some length and space. And this we'll call it part of the neck hang. So if the exercise for this week, the week is called a neck hang, I'm usually talking about doing this middle and neck hang in the middle, which I'll show you in a second. Just let me get this side first. But there's also this version to the side. And you can kind of just a little hang, maybe we should call it a head hang, but here it is. The neck hang is it's for the neck. And then let your head float back up. And even before we do the center hang again, notice just kind of in wiggling, notice if one side, that side you just opened up, feels a bit different than the other side. There's a little bit more freedom or space, or especially in this area, right? You tend to get so much tension. Notice if there's just a little interesting space there that you didn't have before. And before we do the other side, remember that center head hang that we did just moments ago. This isn't going to be the one where you collapse from down low, right? You see how that bone pops out down here? You're not collapsing from down low. It's like the back of the neck is lengthening, and there's that little lift of the base of the skull as the rest of your head still falls down. And just let there be a little game of the pull back with the drop down and pull back with the drop down. And then find a place where your head can hang, and it might feel a little bit stuck, right? It's not going to go that far. And then can you kind of take some breath and really breathe into that top part of your cervical spine, the top part of your neck, and into the base of the skull. And you're just letting the weight of your head help to open up the space that we tend to keep is a strong word. It tends to get compressed, right? Just in daily life. And you can just hang as long as you're comfortable, and then come back up. And let's do, and again, you might feel different side to side still. And then we do the same things to the other side. So this time the head would fall ear to shoulder the other side. Be careful that you're not lifting the shoulders in order to get your ear down. It's just shoulders are hanging out and heavy. All the same alignment things, perched on your sit bones, sternum easy. And then you can play with the kind of push or reach, the rotation of your wrist, and you're looking for that pull that it's through the arm line and the neck. You're going to find it's not just one muscle group we're trying to stretch. This is a fascial pull. Really working on the connective tissue that tends to get dehydrated and stuck and tight. If we're staying here too long and your head doesn't like being to the side for very long, you would just back off and you would do it for shorter periods. If you're fine here, great, stay a little bit longer. I tend to start at that almost 45-degree angle right to the side, and that's a good starting place for really feeling this. And then moving and playing from there. Where are the other sticky spots? Right, and wherever it feels like you get that fascial pull, wherever you feel that fascial pull, that's usually a good place to hang out and move around and find some breath into. Right, it might be higher, might be further forward, might be slightly back. It's all kind of in this general quadrant here. And then we did that kind of looking down into your pocket. So the chin, instead of being facing forward, it's slightly looking down, and you're going to find different sorts of pulls here. Again, taking breaks when you need, or moving softer when you need. You're all looking around for, when you get a nice fascial pull, it feels nice, right? It's not nervy, or, if it's tingly or nervy, you're going to back off. We're not looking for intense pain. It's just gentle pulls, right? So if you find anything else, you back off or do it for shorter periods. Don't pull so hard, something like that. Good. And then coming back, head floats up. And if we've done it for a reasonable amount of time, that wasn't too much, you might feel kind of an easier float. You can kind of feel you do this kind of bobblehead motion sometime to figure out, right? Like the little bobblehead dolls. To figure out, is my neck tense, right? If it's not very tense, you kind of have a floaty, easy feel and can move in that small way. If it is tense, it'll feel very sticky and not very easy. So you can play with that. And then you can do this last little thing. You can do your chin drop to your chest, and that pull back and up and just let your head. And again, this while we're hanging out here, this is our habit for the week. And this could be a nice break while you're at the computer, just a little thinking moment. Like, I'm not sure how I want to proceed, little bow of the head, have your thinking moment, and then you can be right back up and doing the next thing. So just very gentle. You have the head tilt in any way to add to your shoulder, your snow globe work, and your play with your arms and your fingers. And then bring your head back up, look for any floatiness, even when your head is still. Notice if you feel like you have a little more space or ease in your shoulders, right? How's that feel? A little more space? Great, and so simple. And add, we talked about the idea of adding in some music to play with some of these things that can be kind of dry and boring, right? You can make it more fun. All right, I'm already a few minutes over, so I don't want to hold you any longer. Come on over, say hi or bye. If you have questions, I can always stick around. Otherwise, I can see you next week.
Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you
Have
so
a good
much.
week.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. I like it.
Ah, good. I know.
Thank you.
I know you love the shoulders. Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.
Bye.